When Jayson Tatum's Achilles popped, the rest of the NBA practically planned the Celtics' funeral. The script was set. Boston's season is dead, and Jaylen Brown is about to be exposed as a career sidekick. Instead, he just burned that script to ashes. Boston hasn't collapsed. They boast a top-2 offense, and Brown has mutated into a terrifying 29-point-a-night MVP threat. The million-dollar question is, how is he single-handedly dismantling elite defenses without his franchise cornerstone? If you crave basketball analysis that cuts straight to the bone, hit subscribe to the Hoops Ledger, because today we are exposing the 4 secret weapons Jaylen Brown is deploying to completely break the league. The bully ball paradox, brutal yet calculated.
Job on Austin Reeves. Brown splits defenders, he hangs and hits.
With Tatum out of the picture, the knee-jerk reaction from every opposing head coach was a deceptively simple game plan. All right, Jaylen Brown is going to shoot more. Let's just force him into tough looks and we're golden. Sounds incredibly logical, right? But in the NBA, what seems the most logical is often the fatal flaw waiting to be punished. Why? Because they assumed Brown would default to his old instincts. The truth is, this season's iteration of Jaylen Brown isn't hunting points by morphing into a reckless three-point chucker. He has turned every offensive possession into a highly controlled wrestling match. Just look at the raw numbers. His usage rate, USG, has skyrocketed to a massive 37.5, yet his true shooting percentage, TS, remains rock solid at 57.0. Bluntly put, Brown is dominating the ball more than almost anyone else on the hardwood, but he's scoring with the poise of a true superstar, not the panic of a guy forcing the issue. To get specific, he is averaging 29.2 points on 22.6 field goal attempts per game, aggressively initiating contact to earn 7.0 trips to the charity stripe. That right there is the textbook definition of violence in the modern NBA. It's not about flashy, high-flying highlights. It's about the relentless, grinding attrition that breaks down both the physical stamina and the defensive structure of the opposition.
Getting around Suggs, got right past him. Oh, yeah!
Critics might push back, claiming bully ball is dead. In today's NBA, you just build a wall and it's over. That's only true if the ball handler charges in like a headless chicken. But Brown isn't banging his head against the wall. He is actively headhunting mismatches. He forces the switch, deliberately seeking out undersized guards. Think matchups like Trae Young or Jalen Brunson, and then turns them into barbecue chicken in the paint or converts them into and-one opportunities. Brown has completely decoded the game. A small guard plus a switch equals a gourmet meal. Once that defender is pinned under the basket, the defense faces 2 grim choices: hand over 2 easy points or call for help. But sending help? That is the exact moment they open the gates of hell. Without Tatum, Brown is shredding defenses with a gritty, unpolished brand of basketball, steamrolling opponents until they absolutely tap out after 48 minutes. So what happens when the defense goes all in, throwing drop coverages, blitzes, and traps specifically engineered to lock him down? How does the monster fight back? Decoding the drop and blitz, where reading the floor beats reading the press.
Snatched back by Brown, in his bag like the flies.
Without Tatum, defensive coordinators viewed Brown as a simple math problem. Just throw 2 bodies at him and see if he can pass his way out. This was a trap intentionally set to exploit Brown's past reputation, the guy who was relentlessly mocked as a player with tunnel vision who only knew how to score. But basketball doesn't hand out championship rings for internet memes. It rewards elite processing speed. The first major hurdle is the drop coverage. The center drops deep, practically daring Brown to take a tough pull-up jumper. The terrifying aspect of Brown right now is that he no longer dances to the defense's rhythm, he dictates it. His mastery of deceleration, hitting the brakes right at the elbow and shifting gears in a flash, has turned the drop into his personal psychological playground. The big man drops too deep? Brown stops on a dime and pulls up. Steps up to contest, he drives a dagger straight into the heart of the defense. Through spectacular shot selection rather than reckless gunslinging, Brown has completely neutralized this scheme.
There goes JB again, against the Rook, finds the cut!
Then comes the moment opponents deploy the blitz and the trap, desperate to force this prolific scorer into becoming a reluctant playmaker. This is where the second turning point reveals itself. Brown doesn't need to magically transform into Luka Doncic to escape the trap. He only needs to do one thing: read the trap before the jaws snap shut. That victory over the Warriors was a resounding slap in the face to the "he can't playmake" narrative, as Brown erupted for a brilliant triple-double, 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 13 assists. Just days later against the Lakers, he followed it up with 32 points and 7 assists, putting the Celtics on his back for a crushing 111-89 blowout win on the road. Sure, the skeptics will try to rationalize it. Hey, 13 assists is just getting lucky that your teammates hit their shots. But a wing player doesn't just casually stumble into a triple-double unless he is constantly manipulating the trap, keeping his dribble alive, and actively reversing the ball to the weak side.
That was Al Horford with the Warriors backing down Nikola Vucevic of the Celtics.
Even LeBron James had to speak out, throwing shade at this year's MVP race for essentially being a popularity contest because people are turning a blind eye to Brown. His true value isn't found on flashy highlight posters. It is deeply embedded in the operational fabric of the entire game. Brown dismantles traps with cognitive discipline. Keep it simple, make the read early, and execute decisively. But if playmaking is merely about passing to the right guy, why are the Celtics shooters finding themselves so wide open it looks like the defense simply forgot they exist? We are about to step into his most invisible, yet most lethal weapon. Playmaking born from fear, the weapon of offensive gravity.
Brown still has the rock, the step back. Oh, yeah!
Let's be brutally honest about the modern NBA. Playmaking isn't just about throwing gorgeous, threading-the-needle dimes. At its core, it is the art of forcing the defense into a corner where they have to choose the lesser of two evils. Jaylen Brown is executing this to perfection through sheer offensive gravity, a massive gravitational pull that forces the entire defensive shell to collapse into the paint before their rational brains even register the mistake. Just look at how Boston shooters are absolutely feasting off the tilt of opposing defenses. In the victory against the Atlanta Hawks, the moment Brown initiated a downhill drive from the top of the arc, every single pair of eyes on the Hawks defense glued to the ball, shrinking the floor. Seizing that exact split second, Sam Hauser merely had to slide into the right spot to catch a completely uncontested look. That wasn't some kind of wizardry passing. It was pure basketball physics. Brown's relentless rim pressure acts as a black hole for defensive attention, and the moment those eyes shift, the open space organically creates itself. Therefore, the tired cliché that Jaylen Brown can't facilitate is completely expired.
Second chance taken away. Jaylen Brown with a free run to the rim.
Think back to that 111-89 beatdown of the Lakers. Peyton Pritchard exploded for 30 points in that game, all while Brown was simultaneously getting his own buckets and dealing the cards, turning the hardwood into a grueling psychological torture chamber for the Los Angeles defense. Boston never needed Brown to miraculously become a pass-first point guard. What they needed was a focal point strong enough to bend any defensive structure. Skeptics will undoubtedly argue, come playoff time, teams will live and die by their matchups. Relying solely on this gravity will get exposed. It sounds plausible, but there is a fundamental detail here. Brown's gravity this season isn't the byproduct of a temporary hot streak. It is born from the undeniable pedigree of an MVP-caliber campaign, sustained so relentlessly that opponents simply don't have the luxury of testing the theory. As we've witnessed, Brown is peaking across the board, points, rebounds, and assists. LeBron James himself emphasized that while the Celtics were widely projected to have a down year, it is Brown who has single-handedly kept this ship afloat and then some. When a star ascends to that level of power, the defense no longer dares to play the odds. They are forced to play in fear. And it is exactly that fear that births the wide-open jumpers. But a massive question mark still lingers. No matter how lethal the offense, a system can always crumble in the clutch minutes that decide the game. So who is controlling the tempo? How does a Boston Celtics squad that plays the slowest pace in the entire NBA manage to yield a top-2 offense? The silent pace and the master of the game.
Well, I mean, you think about it, he's out here on the court, and the guy like I saw.
There is a harsh reality in the NBA. The casual audience usually only remembers the fourth quarter or the blinding flash of a buzzer beater. But champions dictate the terms of engagement long before that, through the breathing rhythm of the game. This season, the Boston Celtics are operating at a pace of 95.8, dead last in the NBA. Yet they sit comfortably at number 2 in offensive rating, off RTG 120.1. That isn't sluggish, lethargic basketball. It is the absolute pinnacle of total control. And control always has two sides, attacking to set your own rhythm and defending to suffocate the opponents. The analytics paint a vivid picture. The Celtics have surged from 11th to 7th in defensive rating since the start of the month. They are ruthlessly unforgiving in the paint, ranking at the very top of the league in locking down the rim. On-court violence doesn't always require highlight dunks. Boston doesn't just score, they asphyxiate their opponents. Amidst that quiet, methodical system, Jaylen Brown has risen as the psychological anchor. He is living up to every single word he preaches.
He's in a lot of pain. Brown all the way.
Following the Lakers' win, Brown boldly labeled himself as a two-way player, someone who is available, a leader, and a winner. Those might sound like hollow buzzwords until you look at the cold, hard facts. The Celtics just pushed their record to 37-19, and Reuters noted they've gone 8-1 since January 30th with terrifying consistency. In a landscape where the 2024 championship roster has been shuffled and Jayson Tatum is sidelined, maintaining that level of stability for the machine is an ultimate form of power. The gallery might nitpick, playing slow makes you predictable. Without Tatum, who takes the last shot? But they are missing the forest for the trees. It is precisely that controlled, deliberate pace that ensures Brown never panics. He doesn't need to hit a signature, legacy-defining shot every single night. He just needs to make sure the Celtics don't shoot themselves in the foot. When you fuse bully ball, physical pressure, elite cognitive processing, schematic pressure, offensive gravity, spatial pressure, and methodical pace control, temporal pressure, you suddenly realize the Celtics haven't gotten weaker at all. They have just become ruthless in a completely different way. A system redefined.
Brown the step back. Jaylen Brown.
Here is the final punchline to the paradox we started with. Jaylen Brown isn't surviving without Jayson Tatum by trying to imitate him. He is dominating by completely reshaping the geometry of the game. From shattering his tunnel vision stigma with clinical playmaking to anchoring the psyche of a suffocating, methodical Celtics machine, Brown has absorbed a massive offensive load without bleeding a single drop of efficiency. Boston hasn't missed a beat. So I have to ask you, if the Celtics lock up a top seed and Brown sustains this terrifying cadence, is the true MVP of Boston Jaylen Brown the individual or the entirely new system he just built? Sound off in the comments below. If you crave this kind of deep dive basketball analysis, hit subscribe to the Hoops Ledger. I'm Cole Sterling, and I'll catch you on the next story.